All right, what is going on, guys? Happy Tuesday. Very nice day in the MLB yesterday with a big old 6-0 sweep. We'll talk a little bit about that. But first, we've got a 15-game slate coming up here. We're going to talk all about that. A lot of interesting games today. Kind of like yesterday, there was some trappy games out there. I think the one thing I missed on yesterday was the Mets Rangers. I was that guy that went with the Rangers, and the Mets got up 1-0, not a big deal. Get to the second, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and have scored about a bajillion runs. So bad read there. Just disappointed how John Gray pitched there. Is what it is. Everything else we nailed. So wonderful day. Up almost 12 units yesterday. So we hit the Red Sox money line. We hit the Dodgers run line. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, game started off hot, 4 runs in like the first inning, and then they cooled down. We hit the under 8.5. Our parlays, we hit Philadelphia, St. Louis, Boston team total over 2.5. They hit that pretty early. We hit Philly. Like I said yesterday, we heavily leveraged Philly in those parlays. Bit of a gamble. I had a feeling they were just going to come out and just kick the shit out of the Padres, and they did. Just immediately. Just absolute no sweat there. Yeah, everything except for St. Louis. Cardinals was quite the sweaty game. Ended up going into felt like the 37th inning, but I think it was the 12th or the 13th, and they ended up winning. So other than that, everything else. Braves, unfortunately, Braves push. So this bet was plus 538. Ended up getting knocked down to 402 because Atlanta just won by 1, so we pushed there. But other than that, fantastic day over the past 9 days, up 24 units. We're up 8.2 on straight plays and 15.88 on parlay plays. Love it. Let's talk a little bit about the games. First game on the slate, we've got Cardinals Marlins. Interesting matchup here. Now, I think this is a great nerfy candidate at minus 120. It feels pretty low. Munoz, hard throwing guy with some good off-speed pitches. ERA is a little high. If we look at his xFIP, we can see that he is due for some progression. This guy has legit stuff, and I got a feeling we'll see that a little bit today. Hopefully, at least in the first inning. And then we just need Lance Lynn to come home and get the 3 outs for us. So I do have a play on the nerfy. Is not an official play on the stream, something I'm playing. I like Munoz over 4.5 Ks. Like I said, this guy's got some pretty electric stuff, and he has hit that line a few times. So just a lean, not necessarily a play. I would go lean kind of towards the under after yesterday. They ended up going over, but it took them until the 9th inning to do it. Very slow game yesterday. Kind of see the same thing potentially happening today, but again, not an official play. I don't know which way I lean on this game. I kind of lean Marlins here, oddly enough. I know Cardinals is probably the play, but I'm feeling the Marlins here. Not going to play it. I think I'm going to fade this game, but could 100% see. I could see like a Marlins first 5 or even a full game. Just with their bullpen, I don't necessarily trust them, but I could see maybe Marlins first 5 up half a run. I think that would be a legit bet, but no official play for me in this game. It should be an interesting game though. All right, next game, we've got Mariners and Guardians. Another interesting game. Triston McKenzie for the Guardians hasn't been overly sharp past couple starts. Bryce Miller has been pretty good on the road. So I would say undoubtedly Mariners have the pitching advantage. Cleveland certainly has the bullpen advantage. And we just saw Cleveland come off a trip to Toronto where the bats just did not cross the border. Bats stayed in the U.S., so I like them at home to come back here. We've got a wind blowing out slightly. So I'm going Guardians here. If I had a lean, it's definitely Guardians. I know the Mariners have been the hot team. I just feel like, Mariners got hot at home. Let's see how they do when they're at home, where the Guardians are 21-8, right? So when the Mariners are away, we see they're 16-19. Guardians have a hell of a home record, so got to back the home team in this case. I wouldn't go heavy on this, but I'm definitely, there'll be some type of play there with Guardians at that minus 118. It's just a good value there with such a great home record. All right, next game, Phillies Padres. I mean, I see this game the same way I saw it yesterday. The lines confuse me. Now I know Nola had a start, against Baltimore. It wasn't good. Gave up 8. His last couple of starts haven't been phenomenal, right? But it's still Aaron Nola. Faced the Padres in San Diego in April. Gave up like 4 runs. This line just does not make sense to me. The fact that you can get Phillies first 5 minus -0.5 for plus money after yesterday, very confusing. I think the books are expecting Michael King to just have a day. But the numbers don't back it up, right? Phillies are a great fastball hitting team. Hit cutters all right. They're pretty decent at curveballs and changeups, right? And Michael King doesn't have a plus in any of those. So I look for the Phillies to score some runs. The only thing I can think is they're thinking that Padres get to Aaron Nola. And I don't know if they've seen the Padres hit over the past 10 days, but, well, frankly, that's because no one has, because they haven't been hitting. So I'm not real sure what this line is. Maybe I'm falling for a trap here, but official play, Phillies, first 5, minus half a run, plus money. Lock me in all day on that. I like Nola over 4.5 Ks for a K prop as well. He's been hitting this routinely. Padres only at 15.8, but that's just so low for Nola. So I do like that as a lean. You could sprinkle a little bit on Phillies run line. You could go money line. I just think anything Phillies again today is going to be a good bet. I mean, if we look at King, he should struggle. Phillies crush fastballs, so he should struggle. They crush sliders, they crush fastballs, changeups. I mean, it's either that or we're looking over here, right? If the books think that Padres have a chance, you got to go over. That means it's going to be a 6-5, 7-5 type of game. So I wouldn't mind going on the over as well, especially with the wind blowing straight out at 10 miles an hour. Next game, Pirates at the Reds. You got Nick Lodolo on the mound, pitching really well, going up against Bailey Falter. Falter not so hot at home. His ERA is much higher at home than it is away. Lodolo's kind of the opposite, right? When his ERA is a little lower, makes sense. Pitching out of GABP, balls fly out of the yard pretty easily, especially when you get more fly ball outs than ground ball outs. And then we look at Falter. He is quite heavily towards fly balls. It is going to be very warm. The ball will be flying in Pittsburgh, very similar to Cincinnati. So I'm expecting some home runs in this game. I think Lodolo does a pretty good job of managing that. So if we look at his home runs per 9, it's only 0.77. Pitching, a decent amount of games at Great American, that's a pretty phenomenal metric there. So I like the Reds here. I think you can do first 5. You can do money line. I'm personally doing money line, but I think either way is fine. You could look at the under. I just, given the weather, you got a guy that is predominantly a fly ball pitcher. Wouldn't love the under today. And if you do it, maybe just do first 5 under. I think Lodolo shuts them down. He should have a really good day. K line's a 6.5. That's a little high. I think he's only hit that in about 20% of his starts, roughly. Don't quote me on that, but it wasn't much when I was doing my research. So I like the under there. I think 6.5 is just a hair too high. I think he'll probably get the 6. Next game, we got Diamondbacks, Nats. For me, this is a fade of Slade. This guy's horrible. This pitcher is terrible. And Jake Irvin is just an immensely better pitcher. So to me, I love Nats first 5. I like Nats money line. I would probably go money line, just simply, again, I preach this all the time, but the Diamondbacks have the worst bullpen, right? If they have the worst bullpen, go money line. If they have a better bullpen, you go first 5. So I think in this case, I like going money line. Just every once in a while, the Nats take a little bit to kick into gear. So I'm just kind of fading that in case it happens and just taking money line. Now, I know the Diamondbacks have been hitting pretty well, and the metrics back that up, right? Last 2 weeks, they've been one of the hottest right-hand hitting teams. But I feel like Jake Irvin shuts them down. One thing about the Diamondbacks is they are a little bit streaky. They do very well at home. They hit the road. Seems like the first couple of games on the road, they struggle. So I'm kind of banking on that as well. So that's where we're at on that. I would lean Nationals money line, preferably. And that is going to be in one of our parlay of the day picks. All right, next game, Orioles Yankees. Personally, not touching this game. I think a lot of people are going to be on the Yankees. If we just look at the money line, it's very juiced at minus 155, which is ironic. I mean, the Phillies are at minus 155 against the Padres, and the Yankees get the same line against the Orioles. It's so weird. I don't love this line. Suarez kind of gets disrespected as not being a good pitcher. We look at his opponent batting average. It's 2, right? Nestor Cortez is 240. So I like a lot of runs in this game. That's the one thing I do think is going to happen. This line was 8 this morning. It's already jumped to 9. I think that is pretty fairly placed. So really not going to touch this. If you wanted to do like an alt line as a kind of a dance partner to another piece of a bet, I think that's a good idea. If I had to pick, I would go Yankees money line. And I said there's going to be a lot of runs scored. I think they're going to come innings, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think we'll see a lot of runs in the back half of this game. I think the first couple we should see a decent pitching duel. So if you wanted to go like first 5 under 5.5, I think that'd be okay. A little risky, right? That could turn the opposite way. The one bet I really like, and this is going to be on our plays, and I double perioded it. Suarez over 3.5 Ks. This line is ridiculously low. Like he should get 5. Worst case 4. So this is going to be on one of our pitcher parlays, which last one we did, we hit so sweat free it was ridiculous. So yeah, like I said, Yankees if I had to pick a team, but definitely a fade for me other than the Suarez case. All right, next game, Red Sox, Blue Jays. Red Sox were, I have no idea how, but they were underdogs at plus 110 yesterday. You had Nick Pavetti going up against Kikuchi, and the Red Sox just kept the bats hot and just shit all over them. So I'm expecting a similar result today, except this time you have a much better pitcher on the hill. So now you've got Tanner Houck going up against Chris Bassett. Very lopsided pitching matchup in my opinion. The way the Red Sox are hitting, again, this is similar to like the Phillies play. You want to go first 5, you want to go money line, right? We saw Toronto's bats cool off. They only got 3 runs last night, and they only got 2 up until the 9th, and then they hit a solo. So I really like the Red Sox in this situation. They're on a heater right now, so I'm riding the hot bats. Another piece of our pitcher parlay of the day is going to be Houck over 4.5 Ks. If we look, he's been over this in his last 5. He's been over this in 8 of his last 10, and he's been over this in 12 of his last 15. I understand the Blue Jays don't strike out a ton, but this guy has plus stuff. So little different story, and he has a significant pitching advantage today. If we look at the Blue Jays, they're 25th in hitting the fastball, dead last in the cutter, right? They do okay in the split sinker, and they're pretty bad in the slider. So we've got a really plus pitching matchup with a great pitcher. Just screams over Ks, and especially given his hit rate of 80% last 10, 85% last 15. Just a simple pick. So those 3 pitchers will be on our parlay. Red Sox all day there. All right, Tigers Braves. Yesterday we saw the Braves struggle with the offense, right? Didn't get the lead till bottom of the 8th, which was crazy because they were not facing a great pitcher. Very similar situation today. We got Casey Mize on the mound going up against Spencer Schwellenbach. I guess you could give the Tigers the edge on the pitching, right? We haven't seen a ton of Schwellenbach. He'll give up some runs. I think we can count on that. I'm just more banking on the Braves coming out with a little hotter sticks today. We look at Mize on the road. I mean, he's going to give up at least 3. Statistically speaking, at least 3. So counting on that. So I think he'll give up some runs. I think Schwellenbach will give up some runs as well. I really like the first 5 over 4.5 at minus 125. I think that's a decent pick right there. You could do it straight or pair it with something else. I like Braves money line. A little juiced at minus 170 though. I wouldn't feel comfortable taking run line today. At 1.5's a little steep, right? We just don't know how hard Schwellenbach's going to get hit. I could see this being, tied after 6, 7 innings, and then the Braves have to come back and win. I think that's a possibility. If you wanted to count on Schwellenbach getting hit, you can go Tigers first 5 plus 1.5 runs at minus 188. Not something you'd play by itself, but could be a good, again, piece to a parlay. And if you're feeling good about the Braves, minus 0.5, minus 125. Although I would tend to go first 5 over before I would take Braves half a run. But ultimately, Braves money line is where I would lean, and run line if you're feeling real ballsy. Next game, Twins and the Rays. We've got Aaron Savali going up against Pablo Lopez. So Lopez is a bit of an anomaly, right? Started out hot, sucked, and kind of came around just a little bit. Kind of down here in the notes, if we look at Savali away, so this is him away. He's averaging 3.5 runs in his last 5 starts. We see he did 2 against the Angels, got hammered by the Yankees, hammered by the White Sox. Let me repeat that. He got hammered by the White Sox. Chicago. I didn't say Red Sox. I said White Sox. Hammered by them. He got hammered by Boston. Let's say hammered. He got hit well by Boston. Toronto scored 4 runs. This is when Toronto was really struggling with the sticks. And then he faced the Orioles and gave up 1. That's a bit of an anomaly. So I expect some runs today out of Savali. If we look at Lopez, he is averaging 2.7 runs in his last 7 home starts. And that's 1 bad start in there that really bumped that number up. So overall, been pretty decent at home. Wind is going to be blowing out at 10. So I like the over 8.5. I can definitely see some runs being scored. I know the Rays haven't been horribly prolific at scoring runs. If we look at their hitting against right-handers, you can see that. But I think there could be the opportunity to score some runs, right? Just in case Pablo has one of those off days, you could hedge on that. Ultimately, I like Twins money line. You could dabble in run line. They're 32 and 40 on the run line. But if we look at their margin of victory, it's only 0.2. So not exactly thumping teams. You could do -1. I would feel pretty good about that. You know, typically when the Rays lose, it tends to be multiple runs, but and not something I'm going to look to play at +130. I would just go Twins money line. All right, next game, Mets Rangers. I just put Mets money line. It's my only note. Like I totally hosed this yesterday back in John Gray. I'm not going to do it against Lorenzen. Their bats are just so bad right now. The Rangers went to Seattle, couldn't hit. They still can't hit. So, you know, they went to Dodgers before that. They were scoring like 2-3 runs and had good pitching that held on to win a couple games. I haven't seen them score more than 3 runs in quite a while. So I am not going to back them when the Mets are putting up runs like it's a fucking football game. So not doing that. I'll take Severino. I would even look at Severino under earned runs. It's probably 2.5 if I remember correctly. So I think that's an option. I wouldn't necessarily do it, but I'm backing Mets money line here. Ride them while they're hot. 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 6 straight. Conversely, Rangers have lost 4 in a row, and they can't hit. So there's that. All right, next game, Giants Cubs. First thing that stands out, I like the Nerfy here. We've got Logan Webb, who is a ground ball pitcher, going up against Justin Steele. There's a lot of off speed, very deceptive pitcher. So I really love the Nerfy in this case. I want to say it's -115. I'm pretty certain it should still be. So really good deal on that. The only concern is there is a 15-mile-an-hour wind blowing out. And the same thing as last night that really helped the Giants win. In the top of the ninth, they hit a 3-run home run to take a 1-run lead and win it. So there were a decent amount of home runs last night. Will probably continue today. I lean more towards the Giants in this case simply because Logan Webb does 2 things extremely well. He eats innings, and he gets a ton of ground balls. So you give me a ground ball pitcher in gale force winds going up against a lefty that primarily gets his outs through fly balls, I'm taking Giants all day there. Plus, I don't trust the Cubs bats still. They've been quite terrible. So give me Giants there, money line, -105, really good price there, especially after they won last night. Very back and forth game. I do think we'll see the long ball for sure. But I think I'm backing Logan Webb with his .39 home runs per 9 innings versus Justin Steele's 1. It's going to go up tonight. Going to be more than 1. So give me, you could even look at first 5 as well. I think first 5 is an option, but the Cubs bullpen is terrible. I mean, terrible. So I'll take the Giants bullpen any day, all day over the Cubs. That's why I like the full game there. All right, next game on the slate. Astros White Sox. Not a lot to talk about here. If the White Sox are playing a halfway decent team, you play the run line. So I like Astros. You can go money line, you can go run line, you can go first five. I mean, anything with the Astros involved, probably a pretty safe bet. Jonathan Cannon on the hill. He's all right. You could look at his K prop. I think that's about the only thing I would look for in the White Sox. I want to say his K prop is 3.5. He's faced the Mariners and Twins, who strike out more than any other team, along with the Reds. But I think he had 7 Ks against them. So that's an option, but I don't love it. I don't know if he'll be in the game long enough to get 4 Ks. So I look for the Astros to keep the bats heated up, and I think Framber gets the job done on the hill. So really love run line there. We got Dodgers, Rockies. Going back to the well, you got Buehler going up against Austin Gomber. Gomber gave up 8 runs to whoever he pitched against last start. I can't even remember who it was, but I remember it was the Twins. I solely remember because I had Rockies money line and Rockies first 5 that day because Gomber had been pitching much better as of late. But last start in Coors Field turned into a home run derby event. So I am backing the Dodgers all day long with Buehler on the hill. I think that is a no-brainer. Again, you can take money line, run line, first 5. Just anything with Dodgers should be okay. I mean, Rockies are sneaky. They could pull out a win. Buehler could have a bad day, but I don't see it. Next game, Brewers Angels. Pretty sure I said lean Angels yesterday, and they got the job done. That pitcher, Soriano, is just good, man. That dude throws heat. So he gave up 2 in the first, but the Angels came back in the third and scored 3. And then I think they tacked on another 2. I don't know what the final was, but it was 5-2 at one point. The only bet I had in that was Angels team total over 3.5. Like I said, they knocked that out of the park by the 4th inning. They were up 5-2 after 4. So sweat free there. I like the Brewers. I'm gonna flip it today. Griffin Canning, terrible pitcher. Right, this to me is just all about the pitching right here. He is an awful pitcher. I think the Brewers had to travel to the West Coast to start their West Coast swing, so I figured they might not have their best game yesterday. I think they'll be well rested, ready to play today. Better pitcher, better lineup. Griffin Canning gets shelled. That's my prediction. If we look at Griffin Canning at home, it ain't good. Giving up 4, 3, 4. Had one decent start, back to 3-3. So 100%, I think he gets rocked today. We just have to hope that the Angels sticks don't keep going. They've been fairly hot, but I'm counting on Tobias Myers to shut them down a little bit today. So like Brewers money line. Last game, sneaky spot, man. This is a sneaky spot. And I know everyone's on the Royals because it's the Royals and they're good. Athletics have lost 9 straight. I like Hogan Harris. I think he is a bright spot in an absolute god-awful team. Him and Miller are about the only bright spots. So makes me a little nervous to back the Royals. Marsh hasn't been the most consistent pitcher. He'll have games where he dominates, and then he'll have games where he just gets absolutely rocked. So not a game I want to bet. I just see this as a really sneaky spot for the A's to break that 9-game losing streak. So no official play for me. Maybe a Nerfy. That's about it. I think that's probably all I would even look at. I think the Royals probably win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not willing to put money on it, right? Ultimately, I think they do. Next game of the series, I'm backing the Royals for sure. I just a little hesitant with Hogan Harris on the mound. That's all. All right, so let's talk a little bit about our plays for today. Straight bets, we got Nats first 5 at -105. I think that's just great value. I trust Jake Irvin so much more. So really just kind of that's a pitching advantage to me that I'm backing. And then we've got Phillies first 5 -0.5 run at plus money. Scratching my head on this again, might be a trap. Maybe the books know something we don't, but this just feels so free. I don't know. Could be wrong. And then our final straight bet, Dodgers run line at -122. Just going to run back what we did last night. The offenses look good for 3 or 4 straight games. So love that bet. Parlays, we're rocking with, already talked about the pitcher parlay. We're going with Houck over 4.5, Suarez over 3.5, Nola over 4.5. That's plus 360. Next one's going to be a money line play with the Phillies, Astros, and Dodgers. If you want to sweeten it up a little bit, you could do Philly and Houston money line, Dodgers run line, or you can do all 3 run line, or I would recommend Philly money line, Astros, Dodgers run line. I think that would be good if you're looking to kind of juice that up a little bit. And then our last play, it's going to be a fun one. After a 6-0 day yesterday, let's have a little fun with this one. We're going with a plus 1,543 play. Houston run line, Dodgers run line, Twins money line, Brewers money line, Nats money line. Wouldn't recommend, if you're going to do this, I wouldn't recommend a full unit. Maybe sprinkle like a quarter on it. Again, it's plus 1,500. Probably not going to hit, but I thought we'd have a little fun given that we went 6-0 yesterday, and we're up a pretty decent amount of units over the past 9 days. So those are my best plays today. Appreciate everyone tuning in to watch, and I will catch you tomorrow for the next round of games.